What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Eddie Express DFS podcast presented to you by Draft Dashboard. Remember, you can try out all the tools I use in this video 30 days for $1 by clicking my link in the description below. Underneath that link, I'll leave my PayPal email. If anybody hits anything big, feel free to send me a tip. Tips are always welcome. I was letting a little bit of a hiatus this last week. I was in Iowa for the Gopher game. I was just kind of busy this week. Shout out to friend of the channel, Levi, making sure I get out my NFL video this week. So special thanks to him for all the viewers. Make sure you hit thanks, Levi, in the comments. Alrighty, here is the cheat sheet for this week. Like I said, players in red are going to be players that I put in my watch player tab. Players in blue, I am kind of excluding. Might get to them with a little bit of randomization. Get into the position optimizer. Before we do that, click the thumbs up button. That always helps me out. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our new videos. First up, at quarterback, I have Russell Wilson. Now, if you're new to the channel, I play 100 lineups into the mini-max. That's just the way I play it. So I will have multiple players at each position, and then I throw that into a mass lineup generator, and that's how I get my 100 lineups. So I'll have multiple players at each position. I'll kind of rank them throughout the video. But first up, I have Russell Wilson. He is probably my favorite quarterback this week, going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, who rank 15th against quarterbacks, but against the pass, they're not very good. Russell Wilson's a dual threat quarterback. Always like getting those guys. Projected ownership is 8%. Yeah, I love Russell Wilson this week. He's in a good spot. Next up, I have Matt Ryan. He's priced up quite a bit. I'll probably be even to the field with the 18%. I don't think I want to get north of that number. He's in a really, really good matchup throwing the ball, but he doesn't have any rushing upside. I like to get guys with a little bit of rushing upside in there. But Tampa Bay is 31st against quarterback position, 31st team total defense. I'll have some of him, but not a ton. Next up, I have Jameis Winston. I tell you guys about him every single week. He's super consistent. He's got a ton of volume. It's in a great matchup. He's in a great matchup every week. The NFC South is horrible against the pass. But Jameis Winston against Atlanta, 27th against quarterbacks, 25th in team total defense, $6,200 price tag. I'll probably get to him more than I'll get to Ryan, but I recommend Jameis Winston every single week, so not a whole lot to talk about there. It's just a good matchup. Next up, I have Baker Mayfield at 9% projected ownership going up against the Miami Dolphins, who rank 28th against quarterbacks and 29th in team total defense. $5,900 price tag for Baker Mayfield, pretty appealing on DraftKings. I will have probably north of the field on that number. And then the other two quarterbacks that I want to mention, Josh Allen. It's not a good matchup, but he has rushing upside. You're going to get him at low ownership, just 3%. Denver is third against the against quarterbacks and fifth overall in team total defense. You're going to get him at lower ownership, and this guy is just super consistent. Always seems to pay off with his rushing upside. And last but not least, I have Dak Prescott, who's just on a big heater. Not a good matchup against New England. New England obviously has been the best defense overall and the best quarterback, best against quarterbacks. 2% projected ownership. He's just been on a heater. He has rushing upside for $6K. Have some interest in Dak Prescott as well. Running back positions. First up, Alvin Kamara, 8,200, just too cheap for a guy like this in this type of matchup. 27% projected ownership. Carolina ranks 30th against running backs, 20th in team total defense. I will have plenty of Alvin Kamara. He may be my highest owned play, and he'll probably be the cover photo for this video. Next up, Nick Chubb against Miami. Now, I think people are going to get away from Chubb this week just because they're scared of Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt's more involved in the passing game than he is in the running game. Nick Chubb, good running back, super solid, super consistent all year. Last 2 weeks with Hunt coming back, he's taken some hits, but he hasn't dropped in any of his carries or anything. So I'm just playing Chubb. I'm going to be playing him quite a bit. I will have probably twice as much Kamara as I will Chubb, though. Kamara's my dude this week. Miami 27th against the run, 29th in team total defense. Next up is a guy I don't really know what to do with, so I just included him. It's Jalen Samuels. James Conner is going to be out this week again. Cincinnati ranks 29th against running backs, 28th in team total defense. Jalen Samuels picks up lots of targets out of the backfield as well, which on DraftKings was obviously a lot more important because you get a full point PPR. So I included him. Price tag's up a little bit. I don't expect to get a ton of him, but I will have a piece or two. Next up, I have Derrick Henry against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 24th against running backs and 16th in team total defense with 14% projected ownership. Derrick Henry, 6,900. Again, kind of like Samuels. Didn't know what to do with him, so I included him. I might remove Samuels before I make my crunches, but we're going to leave him in there now just to see how much we get at the end of the video. Derrick Henry, similar price point, 300 cheaper than Samuels. I'll probably get to more Henry than Samuels. Last but not least, every single week, along with Jameis Winston, we have Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell has not really had any ceiling games, but he's been pretty consistent, hovering around the 20s. Decent matchup here against Oakland, who ranks 20th against running backs, 27th in team total defense. Good stuff there. Then the value guy is going to be Bo Scarborough for the Detroit Lions. Washington, 25th against running backs, 23rd in team total defense at just 4,200. He makes for an interesting plug and play. I think he's a better play than Hill was last week, but he's cheap. You can get him in there. And then another guy I recommend quite a bit is Leonard Fournette. He's just super consistent, gets a lot of volume. Going up against Tennessee Titans, who rank 14th against running backs, 17th in team total defense, still getting 18% projected ownership at 7,300. And then I also included Ronald Jones, another value guy. Atlanta is 15th against running backs, 25th in team total defense. He's only 4,800. Pretty good price tag on Ronald Jones. And that's it for our running backs. Wide receivers. First up, we have Michael Thomas. 26% projected ownership. His price tag has come up a ton, but he's just super consistent. Getting you north of 25 in the last 4 weeks. Good matchup against Carolina. 20th against wide receivers. 20th in team total defense. Don't have to talk a whole lot about that. The guy I do want to get to, though, and get to in volume is Julio Jones at the wide receiver position. Tampa Bay dead last in the league against wide receiver position, 31st in team total defense. I like to pair him with my Matt Ryan lineups. We'll show you how to do that at the end of the video in the Mass Lineup Generator. You can get all this stuff 30 days for $1 by clicking my link in the description below. Quick plug, get back into the picks. Tyler Lockett, 9% projected ownership against Philly. I have some interest in him with Russell Wilson, pairing them up. Again, Philly 29th against the wide receiver position, 14th in team total defense. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, I'll talk about them both at the same time. Evans getting a little bit higher ownership there at similar price points. 23 versus 15 as far as ownership. 26th against the wide receiver position is Atlanta, 25th in team total defense. Odell Beckham, he's a guy I own in season long. He's been very disappointing. I think we could see a breakout week here against Miami. I'm calling a 2-touchdown Odell Beckham day. At 7K, I'll have plenty of him. I'll be north of the field on a guy like Odell Beckham. Calvin Ridley, 15% projected ownership, 6,500. He's kind of a boomer bust play. 6,500 is not really what I want to pay for him. I'd rather just pay the 8K for Julio. But it is a good matchup, so I did include him. DJ Shark against Tennessee. Again, another guy that has been having a huge breakout season. 9% projected ownership. Tennessee, 19th against the wide receiver position. I'll have some of him. Jarvis Landry, a little bit of a revenge game here going back to Miami. 15% projected ownership at 6,300. I have some interest there as well. Down in the dumpster here, Not really a dumpster, but a really good price tag on Amari Cooper, 6,600 only. Again, not the good matchup that we want, but I think you can get to Dak and Amari for a pretty cheap connection that's been super consistent all year long. Not the best matchup, but I'm going to include him anyways. Last but not least, Devontae Parker, 13% projected ownership going against Cleveland Browns, 10th against wide receivers. But as you can see, Miami's been banged up. And since Devontae Parker has come back, he's been very, very consistent. 16, 12, 16, 12, 23 and a half. At just 5,200, I'll have a piece of him as well. Josh Gordon is the guy that I want to talk about for value. Like I said, I do love Russell Wilson this week against Philly. Philly is 29th against the wide receiver position. You get a guy like Josh Gordon, who's probably considered the wide receiver 3 now, but Metcalf is more of a goal line, big play specialist. Josh Gordon's going to see more volume, I think, in this game than DK Metcalf. So I left DK Metcalf off and Josh Gordon on. Move into the tight end. Tight end position, relatively short tight end player pool. I always try to include a little bit more than I like, just because I feel like I don't get enough tight ends in there with enough mixture. So I included about 5 this week. First up, Zach Ertz, 6K. A little more expensive than you want to pay for Ertz. Ertz is starting to finally come on, though. He's had a really disappointing year, 28.3 and 18.4 in the last 2 weeks. It's a great matchup against Seattle, who ranks 27th against tight end position. I'll have some Zach Ertz. Vance McDonald against Cincinnati Bengals, 23rd against tight ends, 28th in team total defense, just 3,500. I'll have some interest there. Darren Waller against the Jets, not a good matchup, but he's only 5,700, 12% projected ownership. Not a good defense overall, but pretty good against tight end position, so I'll have a little interest. Hollister, he's had 2 really big weeks. He's only 2% owned. He's only 4,300. I'll have a little bit of interest there. We'll see what we get for the volume shares of him, but I'll be north of the 2%. Noah Fant, another guy that's seen a lot of targets in the last couple weeks here. Kind of a boomer bust play. He can get you a couple touchdowns. He can get you 80 yards. He can also disappear and have 2 targets. He's only 3,900 though, so it's a guy that I'm willing to take a shot on there. Last but not least, OJ Howard. Like I said, I love Tampa Bay. 17th against tight ends is Atlanta. 25th overall in team total defense, only 3,300. Defenses, I like to put the ones I like in the watch players tab. So we'll put all these guys in. We'll include the Raiders. We're going to exclude the Falcons, the Titans, Jags, Seahawks we don't want, Cowboys. Don't want the Patriots this week. So we take all that information, put it in the lineup optimizer. On FanDuel, we'll make one lineup here on each site quick. This gets you this is a pretty solid lineup right here. I think I'd like to get down from Ridley. Maybe get like Devontae Parker, get up from Scarborough. We'll try and squeeze in someone like Derrick Henry. Odell good, Gordon good. Ertz I like, but if we're going to pay down, we could get a guy like Waller. Broncos defense. Something like this on DraftKings. Baker Mayfield, Derrick Henry, Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Parker, Josh Gordon, Odell Beckham, Darren Waller, Jarvis Landry, and the Denver Broncos. That's a correlating stack with the Cleveland Browns. On FanDuel, I want Russell Wilson. I think I want to get to Josh Gordon. He's cheap over here, just 5,100. Like to get to Julio. We could go, let's put Let's put Ertz as our tight end here. Samuel's a little spendy over here. Scarborough's priced up. Go with Fournette. Get off of Ezekiel Elliott. We went with Russell Wilson at quarterback so we could double stack that with Tyler Lockett. He's a little more spendy than I want him to be, though. You can go 2 tight ends over here and get to O.J. Howard. That leaves you with a pretty safe ceiling here. Double tight end set, not something I do a whole lot, but Russell Wilson, Leonard Fournette, Nick Chubb, Julio Jones, Josh Gordon, Odell Beckham, Zach Ertz, O.J. Howard, and the Steelers defense on FanDuel. We'll run 100 lineups here quickly. We'll leave it within 500. Randomness we'll put at none. Max exposure at 40%. This is the new tool right here. Stack at least 1 wide receiver with your quarterback. Awesome stuff done by Draft Dashboard. Remember, you can try out all this stuff that I'm using on this screen 30 days for $1 by clicking my link in the description below. Gets you access to all this stuff 30 days for $1. Won't expand our player pool. I'll pause the video, generate the lineups, and then I'll show them here quick. So here's our lineups. We generated 99. Just like to show you the exposure, just because that kind of shows you who the system likes more so than other plays. I would have to go through and manually adjust because I want to get more Kamara and more Julio Jones. But there's a mass lineup generator, for example. If I take out a guy like Calvin Ridley, I'll get a lot more of Julio Jones. And if I take out a guy like Jalen Samuels, like we talked about earlier, I'll get a lot more Alvin Kamara. So you can sort it by projected points. Top projected lineup for me is 131. It's a Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley stack. Then you have a Jameis Winston, Godwin, Evans, Howard, just super amped up on the Bucks. Then you have all kinds of different lineups here. Just something I like to show you guys. Anyways, thanks for stopping by. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Good luck this week and win some big money. And make sure you hit that thumbs up button. You can try out all the tools I just showed you 30 days for $1 by clicking my link in the description below. Have a good week. Good luck, guys.